And this is where I think a lot of Gator fans have been. They keep being told, you need to contribute, you need to contribute, you need to contribute. Also, we want to build new stadium renovations. You need to contribute to that. And they're like, well, how about if we have a winning record for once? And I think there is momentum going forward at Florida, and they need to keep it going finally. But it took 3 years to build that momentum.
Yeah, listen, I got to tell you this, that I was there. I was there for the Kentucky-Florida game this year, and it's hard to believe, Pat. I can't even remember. I started this in 1998. I don't even know how many years that is. 26 years of doing football games. It was the very first time I'd ever done a night game at Florida Field. Matter of fact, I have only done a few night games my entire career. I've been the noon guy my whole life. So,
yeah.
Florida played great that day. Lagway was phenomenal. The crowd was great. It was Florida, Kentucky, two struggling teams. Well, I walked out of there, and I'm like, just imagine if this was a team that was competing for an SEC championship or was in the mix for a playoff. I'm thinking to myself, my gosh, what a place.
Another Dooley Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, and welcome into another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We appreciate all of you for taking time out of your Christmas holidays because it is that time of year, whether it's Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, I don't know what else. I don't want to offend anybody, but hey, happy holidays. But I don't believe in happy holidays. I believe in Merry Christmas. But happy holidays to you is what I'm trying to say. All right, so we got a great show today. Dave Neal is going to join us, and you guys know Dave Neal. Of course, his dad, Bob, was a legend in the SEC ranks, and Dave is as well. Has won a couple of Emmys, and really good guy, too. One of my favorite people in the world. Coach Spurrier will be here Monday. Now, I told you Coach Spurrier was going to be here today. But what I didn't know is he had planned a trip to South Carolina to see some relatives, see some grandkids. He wanted to go to a basketball game with Don Staley, invited him to. So he will be here Monday, though, we've been told. But he'll be here. No, it'll be fun. And we'll be able to talk about the Gator game. So, and then no show on the 26th, which is the day after Christmas. Everybody's going to be digesting and trying to get their nerves back to normal. So we're just going to take a day off there. Plus, I'm going to be out of town. So anyway, we'll be back the following Monday with Coach Spurrier again. All right. So let's get to our Royal Blue starting five. Brought to you, of course, by Royal Blue. They do such a great job. Randy Royal over there. Oh, man. Randy will get you set up with a nice boat if you want to go over there and talk to him or just give him a call. You'll hear his number at the end of our when we do the commercial later on today. So Randy's a good friend, and I appreciate them being the sponsors of the starting five. Let's start off with number one. And number one, I'm sorry, I know Gator football plays tomorrow, but number one for me is Gator basketball and what they did Tuesday night. Beating North Carolina in what was their first really tight game down the stretch. Had to come from behind. That showed me more than any of the big wins have shown me. Just kept hitting big baskets, hitting big shots. These guys it's amazing. They're 11-0 now. And, they don't think they've beaten anybody good. I watched Virginia play last night. They were playing Memphis. And they had a lead at the half. And so I said, I'll settle in and maybe root for Virginia to help Florida's net ranking. But Memphis came back, and it was just embarrassing. But anyway, I don't know who they've beaten that's any good, but they've beaten a lot of brands. That's the good thing. They've beaten teams that maybe were overrated in the original net when it came out, because I quote Heath Klein, my friend, and he probably got it from somebody else a million times a year, garbage in, garbage out as far as computer rankings go. That's the way I feel about them, because you can't say we're starting with a blank slate. You're not. You're not starting with a blank slate. You've got to. Somebody was ranked number one in the first poll, and guess what? That team probably didn't beat anybody. That's not the point, though. The point is that this team is 11-0, and I don't want to take anything away from what they've done. That win on Tuesday night was so much fun to watch. we actually we were out that night and for the first half, and we were just like, whoa, they keep making shots. This is unbelievable. It's so great. And then we get home, and of course Kelsey's when North Carolina comes back, she's like, you guys need to go back. You need to go back to the restaurant. I don't want you here. You're bad luck. Well, we weren't going back, as you know, and they pulled it out. It was good that they got that kind of a battle. Because I guarantee you every SEC game is going to be a battle. There ain't going to be no Arizona States and Virginias. And, I'm just trying to think of the teams they've beaten. So they've beaten Virginia, North Carolina, Arizona State, Wichita State. It's pretty good so far, but they aren't really high in the net ranking. I'm going to get to that in a minute, and it hurts them a little bit, but not that much. If you keep winning, it doesn't matter. That's the thing. All these ranking systems don't matter if you win. You win another game, you go up ahead. So let's get to number 2 on our Royal Blues starting fives, which was how in the world did Florida beat North Carolina, which has a decent net for a 6-5 team, and drop a spot in the net rankings. They went from 5 to 6. This is why you can't take them for anything serious this time of year. I can't help myself, though. I have to look at it. If they win a game, I'm like, I can't wait till tomorrow and see where they are on the net. Oh, they dropped a spot. Well, they now have 3 quad 1 wins. They had 1 before. Now, the North Carolina win was 1 because that was a neutral site, and they're like 35. Forget about it. Let's not worry about net rankings. Let's just worry about the basketball team and how well they're playing and how much we're enjoying this. This is kind of like this incredible tonic that has been spread over the Gator Nation. You could not have been more down, early November. We'll say that. Your team wasn't winning games. At that point, I think they were 3-4, 4-4, whatever they were in football. Basketball was just getting started, so you hadn't really gotten into that. You really didn't know a lot about these players. And then guess what happened? All of a sudden, it looked like Titletown again. Now, nobody's going to say this team's winning a national championship in basketball. Certainly nobody's saying they're winning in football. But it feels like momentum is building in the right way. And, look, we all know that they're getting ready to head basketball into the SEC schedule, which is a brutal schedule right now. No matter who you play. Doesn't matter. There's no team you can go, well, there's a softie. No, there's none out there. In fact, I think Vanderbilt is like the lowest ranked, maybe. And they were ahead of the Citadel 25-4 last night. I said, well, I'm not going to watch that game. Anyway, it is just fun to be around this and fun to be dealing with one of the 4 unbeaten teams in America. Do you know who they are? 3 of them are in the SEC. How about that? Oklahoma, and Tennessee and Florida. And then Drake is the other one because Utah State lost the other night. I was kind of monitoring them. So 4 unbeaten teams right now in the NCAA basketball. So that's what matters. You're 11-0. That's the only thing that matters. Don't worry about the net. Don't worry about the Ken Palm. You can look at them and talk about them like I do, and I like to do that. But it's just about continuing to get better every day, and that's what this team seems to have a mindset to do. Look, every game is going to have runs. You know that. You've watched basketball before. Every game is going to have runs, and you just have to contain them. You have to call timeouts at the right time and put an end to them, hit big baskets. You know, the best way to stop a run is to make a shot. I know that, I thought Todd Golden was great Tuesday night, when he was kind of getting the crowd going and everything with the Gator Chomp, and then he was telling those guys with 3 minutes ago, one stop. That's all you got to think about. And look, every coach says that, but I like that this coach was saying at the time. So one stop is all you got to think about. You can't think about stopping a guy. If you get down 5 or 6, you can't be thinking we got to score 6 points. You got to be thinking we got to score. We got to score, and we got to stop them on the other end. It's pretty simple. But, I used to say 17 to 21-year-olds, but now it's 17 to 28-year-olds in college basketball. They get their minds cluttered. They got a lot going on. They're being yelled at. They've got refs they've got to deal with, and sometimes they make weird calls, and you can't figure them out. You got a lot of stuff going, and your coach is yelling at you, and the other people are yelling at you. So if you sometimes get in your mind, we're down 6, we got to get going, it's human nature, but you really don't. You only had to stop them right now and then go down and score. That's it. That's all you have to worry about. Anyway, that's my college basketball coaching lesson for the day. All right, let's get to number 3 on our Royal Blues starting 5, and that is that there is a bowl game tomorrow. I don't know if anybody's told you this, but there is a bowl game tomorrow involving the Florida Gators. I do think it's an ideal setup for what they finished 7-5. They would rather have gone other places, but I've said this before. You're leading into the first ever playoff game. That is kind of cool. So, look, we haven't gotten a lot of news out of their trip to Tampa. It's been very businesslike, and I don't know how many people are even going down and spending the whole like in the past. That was the cool thing. You could talk your bosses into going down for a whole week, to Tampa, stay in a luxury hotel. They'd feed you. They have a hospice. I don't know about the Gasparilla. I know the Outback did, but if you go to the Gasparilla, you can just go across the street to the Outback Bowl, where John James is holding court. He's a good buddy of mine. Anyway, so here's the thing: you never know what's going to show up for a spring game, bowl game. You never know. You'd like to think this team is one you do know about, that you've seen how hard they played when they could have folded the tent, that you've seen they love their coach, that you've seen that the guys who weren't going to play next year are the only ones who are getting in the portal, pretty much. There's a couple that would have played. Obviously, Pyburn was one, going to LSU. Just how come everybody who leaves here wants to play against the Gators so much? I don't know. Anyway, so it's important. It's an important game in terms of keeping the momentum going the right way. It's going the right way. It's shifted. It shifted multiple times, though. We've seen this happen. It shifted the first day he walked in the door. They got all this stuff done. They got the parking straightened out. They got all this. They worked on all this NIL. They got and then they beat Utah in the opener. Oh, momentum going again. Oh, we're back. And they weren't back. And then they got momentum going again. They remember that game where they beat South Carolina on the road? Oh, man, they're going to a bowl. All right, we got it going back again. And they lost 5 in a row. And then they got it going. They never got it going this year until the end. So this is good. It's better than it's the way you want to finish. But the way you want to finish was a win over this Tulane team. Don't think this Tulane team isn't coming to play. I know their quarterbacks left, but and got in the portal. But and their backup is in the portal, but he's going to play in the game. He wants to show off. Look, Florida should win this game. They've still got really good players. I've watched this team play a lot this year. Their tailback is really good. They've lost a couple of guys on defense because of the portal too. But look, the bottom line is they are good enough to beat Florida. That's all you need to know. They're good enough to beat Florida, and Florida's certainly good enough to beat them. Florida is still a 13-point favorite. So that's why I think a lot of people are assuming the Gators will win easily. You know better than that. Florida's won games when they were 13-point underdogs. So we'll just see what happens. And again, keep the momentum going for this football program. It's going in the right direction. Just keep it going. Okay. All right. Let's get to number 4 on our Royal Blues starting 5, and that is the playoffs, which also begin this weekend as a sidelight to Gator basketball and Gator football. I'm just kidding, of course. I'm excited about it. I wonder, though, because we're dealing with 3 of these 4 playoff games are going to be played in extreme cold. Now, extreme cold to me is 4 degrees, but they're calling it 28 as extreme. But 28's cold, but it's not extreme. It's not that bad. But you never know how teams are going to respond to that. I remember that one year Miami was playing in the I think it was like whatever bowl it was in Orlando, and it was a cold night in Orlando. It was in the 50s, and they had like heaters on the sidelines because they were so cold. And I'm like, they're going to lose, and they did. They got killed. So we'll see how that has. But I'm wondering if we get 4 blowouts, because we know every game has at least a touchdown favorite because you have the home games. The games are on campus, which everybody loves. Everybody can't wait to see games on campus. Indiana at Notre Dame, touchdown Jesus, that's going to be awesome. College Station, State College, where Penn State is going to be unbelievable. That's going to be lit, man. There's no doubt about it. All these places are going to be incredible. Texas is going to be incredible. Everybody's going to be incredible. But if they're all blowouts, do you, as the NCAA committee and the people that are in charge of this, say, maybe that putting them on the campuses isn't a good idea? Because if you don't get good games, you don't get good ratings. Let's face it. We're all excited for this. We all want to watch it. But if we get 38-2 3 times in a row, we're probably not going to watch Game 4, although we probably still will. But that's the thing. It's weird because you're like, I want to just sit there and watch football all day. But it's going to be kind of boring in a lot of ways. In that you're going to have one game all the time. Now, the good thing is you can flip over to basketball on your second TV, and you should have a second TV. All right, we'll see how that all works out. Let's go finally to number 5 on our Royal Blue starting 5, and we appreciate Royal Blue. We also appreciate Steve Russell, who signed off for the last time Tuesday. Just wanted to say he's meant a lot to me. We've done many shows together. We used to do a show over at the old 97X on Sunday nights. And anyway, Steve's a legend around here. He is a big part of this community, and I know he's going to be back doing something, believe me. But sometimes it's time to get away and retire from some things. And that's kind of what Steve has kind of taken the approach I took. I want to retire from the newspaper. Steve wanted to retire from teaching. He still wants to do some radio and stuff like that, and I think he's got a window where he can't do it because of being a state employee. But you'll see him back on the air, and maybe with me, who knows? Although we've had our differences in the past, which makes good radio, right? But congratulations, salute to Steve Russell for all the years he's put in here and all the hard work he's put in and doing the Gator baseball games and everything, doing everything. He knows everything. He's got a hand in everything. And so appreciate him, and make sure if you see him, buy him a drink. Just don't charge me. All right. That's going to do it for our Royal Blue starting 5. We'll be back with our special guest today, Dave Neal from the SEC Network and ESPN and everything else he does. He does so much stuff. We'll play Yes, No, Where, Maybe with him. Also, we'll get to all our other stuff in the third segment, Hesser and Kipke, Leo's. You got something special to talk about on the this, that, and the other too. We'll talk about that. We got a lot of stuff going on. We'll give you the game times and channels for your Swamp games of the week as well, or weekend, I should say. All right, right now we're going to take a break. This is another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, 2 things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
At Royal Blue, we use such tools as AI, bulk email marketing, trade shows, Google search advertising, and multiple websites. We take a much more proactive approach to getting your boat sold in a timely manner. With our extensive client list and broker-dealer network, we can track down vessels that might be perfect for you and your family, that may not even be listed for sale yet, giving you the right of first refusal. We have spent the last 15 years in boat sales, observing and listening to our clients. In response to our findings, we have constructed a custom yacht brokerage that strives to fit their needs and not ours. Call us today to schedule a consultation to see what Royal Blue can do to solve all of your boating needs. Call Randy at 850-974-1294. Okay, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Well, it's a great pleasure to go to our Big Mills Cheesesteaks Zoom line. Did I get enough commercials in there, Dave? To talk to Dave Neal, of course, a longtime friend, and it does a great job on ESPN and on the SEC network and radio as well. He's doing the game tonight. He's in New Orleans, so if you want to feel like you're in Mardi Gras, just look out the window. You can see some beads floating around out there.
You see a lot of things out here, baby, that you don't want to see. But it is New Orleans, and it's good to be here in the Crescent City.
Oh, yeah, I bet it is, yeah. Obviously, you're there for that game, but I want to talk about all the playoffs coming. And one thing I wanted to ask you about is, everybody's in love with the fact that they're playing on the campuses, right? They're playing these 4 campus games. What if we have 4 blowouts? Do they have to – now, they won't do anything about it next year, but in a year, did they go, that's not what we really want. That's not what we were looking for.
Well, I would say this, is that there's a lot to be discussed about the way this is unfolded this year. And look, we can criticize, and we all do, but I don't think people really knew what this would look like when they planned it. So there is a learning curve here that I'm kind of giving the committee a little bit of leeway with. And part of that is these home games. I'm a fan of it. I think it brings some of that passion to it. I don't know. Hopefully a lot of your fans have been following what's going on with this Tennessee-Ohio State stuff. The Tennessee fans have taken over Columbus, Ohio in every way, buying tickets and doing funny stuff on social media. So, that part of it is great. It's part of the college atmosphere. I think these first-round games, I think when they go and reevaluate how they are seeding these teams and who gets the buys, I think it might lend itself to better home football games in that first round. Some excitement, some enthusiasm, and maybe some better games. So I'm going to hold out judgment. I do kind of like it, though, Pat. I mean, this whole thing with Tennessee and Ohio State has made me laugh at least once or twice a day for the last week. So that's interesting in itself.
Let me tell you what. Ohio State and Tennessee have one thing in common. They both have really obnoxious fans. and they are, I mean, I will say this. Ohio State's got the worst of anybody. I've only been around them a few times, and it was bad. Yeah. And people would come home, my wife would come home like tears in her eyes going, you wouldn't believe what this guy called me.
Oh, my gosh. Well, listen, I work a lot with Chris Burke on baseball side, the All-American Major League player that played at Tennessee. He was a great player, great guy. Love Chris. Yeah. But he is all in about his Tennessee orange. And our text change with some of our baseball guys, let's just say the last couple of weeks, Chris Burke has showed his affinity for Tennessee, and he's become one of them this week. It has been incredible. So I get what you're saying. I love Berkey, but this week's been hard on all of us that are friends with him.
I bet, yeah. It's been hard for you. Your alma mater wasn't very good this year either.
Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, appreciate that. It is. Listen, I have. Florida State is my school. I love it. I wish them well. In my world, it's hard for me to really follow them like I do SEC football stuff because of my job and all this and what I've been doing for 25 plus years now. But it's like embarrassing what happened. I have a whole group. I was an ATO fraternity guy at Florida State, and all my buddies, we do golf trip every year. And the text messages to my friends, or if they're any indication of where the fan base is, it's in a really bad place right now. Let's just say that. And listen, I'll say this real quick too this is part of the NIL world that I think a lot of people don't see. There were over $10 million spent on that payroll last year for Florida State's roster, from what I hear. A lot of my buddies contributed, whether it was 50, 500, 5,000, I don't know, but they all contributed to that collective. And they're all like, you know what? I'm not doing this again. I will donate to the university in some other capacity, but I'm not going to spend my money on this. And what's going to guarantee me that we're going to be any better next year? So I think that's the flip side to this whole collective situation that we're in. And I'm witnessing with my close friends from college right now. I'll be interested to see what happens if Florida State goes 6-6 next year. What happens to the collective at that point?
Yeah, I mean, Norvell took a $4.8 million and said, yeah, I'll give this to the university for NIL money, I guess. But okay, so you're literally at that point buying your players.
Yeah, and where does it end? And he can't do this next year, I wouldn't think. I mean, this is a one-time thing, and I don't know where you keep getting those big chunks of money, especially when you are as bad as Florida State was this year. It's a hard sell. It's a hard sell for these guys right now. When you're winning, everything's great. But when you have these bad seasons and you've already forked up some of your money and you're already asking these people, I know maybe you talked about it yesterday, what Greg Byrne in Alabama sent out that message to his Alabama fans that, hey, we need more from you. I'm like, goodness gracious, most of these people aren't making enough money to double what they were doing. So I don't know where it all ends. I really don't. It's kind of a scary situation to think of the future of college athletics.
I know, and this is where I think a lot of Gator fans have been. They keep being told, you need to contribute, you need to contribute, you need to contribute. Also, we want to build new stadium renovations. You need to contribute to that. And they're like, well, how about if we have a winning record for once, And I think there is momentum going forward at Florida, and they need to keep it going finally. But it took 3 years to build that momentum.
Yeah, listen, I got to tell you this, that I was there. I was there for the Kentucky-Florida game this year, and it's hard to believe, Pat. I can't even remember. I started this in 1998. I don't even know how many years that is. 26 years of doing football games. It was the very first time I'd ever done a night game at Florida Field. Matter of fact, I had only done a few night games my entire career. I've been the noon guy my whole life. So,
yeah.
Florida played great that day. Lagway was phenomenal. The crowd was great. It was Florida, Kentucky, two struggling teams. Well, I walked out of there, and I'm like, just imagine if this was a team that was competing for an SEC championship or was in the mix for a playoff. I'm thinking to myself, my gosh, what a place. I mean, I left there so juiced after that game, fired up for DJ Lagway, who had one of the great moments that I can remember when on a deep pass down the field. He threw it. He knew it was money the moment it left his hand. The reaction from him was like a Steph Curry three that he knows is going in. It was just a great moment. But I just like those moments. I think Florida's really close to having many more of those moments. And it was just an awesome night for two teams. Really, at that time of the year, I wasn't expecting much. But I left there feeling like, man, this place can be something if they can just get over that hump, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're trending that way.
Yeah, they got to get off that roller coaster where, they had it with Muschamp. Second year, wins 11 games. Next year, wins 4. McElwain goes to 2 straight SECs. Next year, wins 4. It's just Mullen, quit recruiting. It just they've just struggled with it. But we'll see how it goes. Hopefully they can win Friday and be able to end the season on a positive note. And if they do, with Lagway coming back, everybody's going to go, hey, top 25 team. Now, preseason rankings don't matter, but they do matter to me. You know why they matter to me? Because it's something to talk about.
Yeah, I agree with you. I listen, and I think it also inspires those in the program, those outside the program, that maybe we've got a chance here, like a legitimate chance, that people think we actually have a respectable program. Not that Florida hasn't had a respectable program. There's a lot of negative connotations that come with that term, but I just feel like I don't have any skin in the Florida game. I don't. I watch them as a member of this league, and I love the league. I want the league to be successful, and whoever that is, it doesn't matter to me. But I will say this, that I've known Billy Napier since he was an assistant in Alabama. I had a couple of games with him when he was at Louisiana. I have always walked out of a room feeling like this is a really good football coach, a good man, a good leader of young men. I root for him. And I really believe that he can do this, man. I don't have, like, again, I'm not a Gator fan. I'm a fan of Billy Napier, and I think there's something here. I do. I really think that he's close to making this thing really good. That's what I believe, and I hope it works out, because I really, really admire him and what he's trying to do and all the bullets he's been taking from every direction the last 18 months.
Yeah, I've never walked out of a press conference with him and said, "Boy, that was not good." It's always right. Yeah, you're always like, okay, I think they figured things out, and then they go play and they don't look good, and that's what he's always talked about. They're doing things the right way, but can you translate that to the field and get results? And they've got him here at the end of the year, but they need to keep that going. I do want to talk about a sport that is getting results, and that is basketball. And I know you got Arkansas, I think, later this week.
Yeah, I've got him on Saturday. Then I got him again on the 30th. I got him a couple times, but I've had an opportunity.
Say hello to Cal for me, okay?
I will. He's a handful. There's no question. He's a handful. This league, I had a couple of games in Atlanta last week. I had Georgia against Grand Canyon and Florida.
Watch that game, yeah. Georgia,
Arizona State game. Yeah. And I've had Auburn, I've had Alabama a couple times, Mississippi State. And I got to tell you, you and I were kind of joking a minute ago. It was like those of us that have been around this sport a long time, the SEC basketball world, the last 5-6 years, the league's been really good. But it's never been like, no league has ever been like this. And those of us that watched it back in the 2000, 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever it was, there were a couple of good teams. But as a whole, the league really was just mediocre at best. And I think that is a common take on SEC basketball. But the commitment to this sport in the last decade has been tremendous. Kudos to the league for kind of forcing the conference schools to kind of get on board with what the rest of the country was doing. And when this league wants to do something, man, they do it, and they do it big, and they do it well. And
they did in softball. I remember being out there one time, and somebody said, if the SEC starts taking softball seriously, we're all in trouble. And guess what?
Right.
And now they stole Oklahoma away. So
yeah, it's just amazing to watch these teams. I forget what it is now, but I think in the month of December the league is something like 58-4 or something like that.
58-4. Yeah.
And I think against top 100 teams in the net, they have like an 87% winning percentage. No other conference is above 50%. It's just the numbers are staggering. I'm anxious get to league play. The games are going to be great. I mean, I think my opening game is Missouri at Auburn or something. And, Missouri just knocking off Kansas, Auburn, of course, doing what they're doing. I mean, it's like every game, no matter what game you get scheduled this year, is going to be a great game. It's like it's from a broadcaster standpoint, it doesn't get any better than this.
No, it doesn't. Before we play this game, yes, no, where, maybe, where I'll give you 3 questions, and it's brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteaks. I want to ask you about how you got started. Obviously, your dad was a legend, and to me, one of my favorite guys. I used to watch watch Hawks games. So, I mean, that's –
oh, wow.
Yeah, so I knew him from there. But did it just come naturally because he was in the broadcasting world, Bob Neal?
It's interesting. I have an older brother who went to Vanderbilt, got his law degree, his MBA from Emory, and did all that stuff. And I didn't. I went to Florida State, barely got out of there. 2 different academic careers, if you will. But I always knew that I loved what my dad did. And I watched him really when I was a young kid. He started in the news world. He was a news anchor, a news director.
Right.
And quick, funny story. I don't know, but he was a news director at the TV station where Skip Carey was the sports director. Well, Skip went out between the 6 and 11 o'clock sportscast. There was an old writer you might remember, Jesse Outler.
Oh, yes, Jesse Outler.
Yeah. And Skip and Jesse went out between the two newscasts, and they came back at 11 o'clock, and Skip didn't do anything for the sports, like literally rolled in the building at 11 o'clock. And he just sat there with Jesse and talked about sports for 4 minutes drunk. The general manager of the TV station calls my dad at 11:30 at night and says, you know what you got to do. So he went down to the TV station, my dad, right at that moment, to go see Skip. I don't know what he was going to do, but Skip left a note on there. Bob, sorry, we'll talk next week. It's all yours. So my dad was a news director. Skip quit. My dad became sports director and became really good friends with Ted Turner and got into business and all that stuff. So I kind of watched this whole thing kind of morph, and I just really enjoyed it. TV was a whole different monster in the 80s and the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
It was something I really wanted to do. And so, yeah, I went with him. I followed him around. Luckily it was, I had an internship right in my house. So
yeah,
it's what I wanted to do. Florida State gave me an opportunity to do some stuff while I was in school and worked at a local TV station there. And that's when I got my first start. And there's so many things that have happened to put me in this spot. There's so many people that took a chance on me. That's the list is so long, and I'm just grateful, man. I say it all the time, Pat. I don't know what I would do if I didn't do this. I'm too far along in this career, but it has been a blessing. I mean, I get to go. I'm just telling you, like my schedule, man. It's just like this is what I do. It's crazy. It's crazy that I get.
You're young enough that you can do that. But that was what I used to be. I used to be the guy that wanted to go everywhere, and now I'm the guy who wants to sit on my couch.
Hey, now listen, there's a part of me that wants that too. The other thing, though, for me is like my kids are now both in college. So I have this freedom to now. It's kind of re-energized me because I don't have that guilt of not being home. You know how many weekends I've missed? I mean, for 10 months out of the year, I'm gone every weekend, 3-4 days a week. And there was a guilt built into this that every parent that works hard and travels goes through it. It's not just me. But they're gone in college now. So now I have this freedom and this life to go, and I just really re-energized me. And it's and the league has never been better. So, I mean, it's kind of a win-win.
Yep, it's a lot of fun. We'll play Yes, No, Where, maybe with Dave Neal. And before we do, I did want to mention that he has been a great contributor to our golf tournament, too. Whenever we ask, he gets packages sent from SEC, and it's been unbelievable stuff. You open them up, and it's like Christmas. And I appreciate that from him. Yes, Nowhere, maybe brought to you by Big Mill's Cheesesteak, street dining done the right way. If you go in there and say you listen to Dave Neal on the podcast, you get free fries with your order. How about that?
That's big time right there. I've never had that. That's unique.
All right, let's get number one. The SEC, Yes, Nowhere, maybe, gets 10 teams into the NCAA tournament. Right now, Leonardo has 13 in.
Yes. I'm going to say one more time, yes, there will be at least 10. There will probably be 12. I think there's going to be 12. And I say that real quick because the SEC's done all their work before conference play. And when they get into conference play, everybody's RPI, their net, all that stuff that you factor in, all that you weigh, it's already at a high level. So even if you lose a few games, you're not going to be affected by it dramatically. That's why I think that the 12 teams will get in.
I think it's important to mention Mike Slive, too, because I know Greg Sankey's getting a lot of credit for this, and I love Greg Sankey to death, and he deserves a lot of credit. But Mike Slive's the guy who started this and got these ADs to think outside the box and go get the Ben Howlands and go ahead and hire Bruce Pearl and do, even though he had the show cause, do all these things. And that's why that was the beginning of the SEC, because you remember when they had 2 teams in the NCAA tournament.
Awful. And I'll say this, I'll go one step further. I think Commissioner Roy Kramer did for football with the championship game and all that, what Mike Slive has done with the basketball world, made it the elite of the elite, his vision. And Greg Sankey certainly has taken the reins with that and propelled it to that next level. But you can kind of see the growth. And I go back to Commissioner Kramer and his vision of the SEC championship game that people were criticizing him for, how it was going to affect the league. And all it did was just make this league become the premier conference in all of college football.
Absolutely. All right, number 2 on yes, no way, or maybe. The league will be playing 9 SEC games by the year 2026. So we know they aren't next year. By 2026, you think they're playing 9?
Yes, I do. I think there's a lot of entities involved in this. They're going to force their hand on this. I know it's split between coaches what they
TV's
want. I know what the fans want. I know what TV wants. I mean, you start talking about all the wants in this. I think we get there in 2026. So yes.
All right, and finally on Yes, No, Where, Maybe with Dave Neal from ESPN and SEC Network, your Emmys are on your mantle.
Yes, they are. They're not here. I don't travel with them, although they fit. I would bring them. But yes, they're back. Those are from just some SEC stuff I'd been doing over the years. And yeah, man, I got them. They're on my mantle. Of course they are. Cool. And I got them legitimately. I'm not like some of the folks at ESPN. Remember last year there was a whole big controversy about getting extra Emmys.
Yeah.
Mine were like legit from a long time ago. So
I think your dad had 5 Atlanta Emmys, right? Or Georgia Emmys?
Southeastern Emmys and stuff like that. Yeah, he's got a bunch. And he got a couple, I think, national ones for some of the NBA stuff he was doing back in the 90s. Yeah. He was riding the coattails of Jordan and Bird and Magic and that whole crew. And that was a good time to be doing NBA hoops. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, Dave, we appreciate you so much, and thanks for taking time out, especially when you got a game to do tonight, and we'll be watching it and listening to your dulcet tones. We'll be back. Appreciate you. We'll be back with more of another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Studios right after we take this break.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. You know about the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in on Fridays for Nana's Fish Nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Rib Co., a Gainesville great.
With time running out, the head ball coach, Steve Spurrier, shares a play to score the perfect last-minute Christmas gift.
Spurrier's Gridiron gift cards are on sale for 20% off between December 17 and December 24. You can go to spurriers.com and order a digital card or stop by my restaurant in Celebration Point and pick some up today. Use the code GC20 and get 20% off. That's right, 20% off gift cards with code GC20.
Okay, and welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And, of course, as always, presented to you by Titan MRI and Imaging. We appreciate all our great sponsors. Let's get to another one of our great sponsors, Hesser and Kipke, 3 things. And, of course, Hesser and Kipke is a Gainesville firm here for your needs in family law or workers' compensation. Call or text Ken and Jennifer 24/7 at 352-339-9920. Hesser and Kipke, nearly 50 years of combined legal experience and about to celebrate their 5th anniversary in January. We appreciate Hesser and Kipke. In fact, it's funny. I forgot my phone in the car, and I realized it after the game was over Tuesday, and I went out and got it, and there was all these texts from Ken. Oh, this is unbelievable how good they're playing. I said, sorry, I forgot my phone in the car. All right, here we go on Hesser and Kipke's 3 things. Number 1, Kirk Cousins benched for Michael Penix. Wow, what a deal. What a deal they made to get Kirk Cousins. And you know, all Vikings fans were probably going to say, hey, he can be good, but he can be bad. And he's really become bad Kirk. I think it was eight interceptions with no touchdowns and then he had 1 of each in the last game. They won the game though, but he's just struggled. And they're doing all these comparisons. What's the worst free agent signing? Is it Rodgers? Is it Deshaun Watson? To me, will always take the cake. Is it Kirk Cousins? But anyway, I like Kirk Cousins. I feel bad for him. I'm sure what he's dealing with is not fun. But of course, when you're getting millions and millions of dollars, it's a lot easier to handle things. And so he will, but he'll be okay. Number 2 on the Hesser and Kipke 3 things. I don't know how many of you guys watched Diego Pavia last year. I watched him a lot. Really good quarterback from Vanderbilt who came from New Mexico State in the portal. He had sued the NCAA and said, I couldn't do anything with NIL or any other benefits in JUCO. You can't count that against me. And he won. He won that case. This is really significant. Maybe. I mean, they're still going to file an appeal, but it may not. He could play the whole year before they get to where they get to the bottom of this. But JUCO football could really get good because you go play there for a couple of years, you don't lose any eligibility if this holds up. So again, the NCAA used to be unbelievable in court. They haven't been lately. I don't know if they've changed lawyers, but they lose everything in court now. It's unbelievable. And then finally, number 3 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. This was an interesting story that broke yesterday that Greg Byrne, by the way, his son works on the University of Florida campus, works with UAA. I met him the other night at the quarterback club. A really good dude. And I told him how great his dad is. But Greg Byrne sent a letter out saying, look, people are trying to steal our players with $1 million deals. We need to fight back. In other words, he's saying, please give me money. This is like the new evangelist thing. Like, I'm not going to make it. We're not going to make it to heaven if you don't send money. That's what it is. Jimmy Swaggart. It's Jim Baker. I'm not trying to rip Greg Byrne, but that's where we've come with NIL, where you got to go on there and you got to beg your alumni for money. You do. Because if you don't have it, you're going to lose. That is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Appreciate that. I want to make sure nobody thinks I was making fun of Greg Byrne. I was making fun of Jimmy Swaggart. All right, let's get to our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Pick. Special Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Pick. This is not going to qualify you for anything. This is going to win you something. The winner of this pick, and we'll get it down to points. We'll pull somebody. All the people who get in will get $25 from Nopal and $25 from Leonardo's Pizza. Man, you could not do better than $50 right around Christmas. We're going to go ahead and send it to you. So this will be different from the ones who've qualified already. And I know a lot of people picked Florida to beat North Carolina, so they qualified. So these are the 2 games. You got to get them both right or you can't even get in. Texas is giving 12 at home against Clemson. Tennessee is getting 7 at Ohio State. Those are the 2 playoff games. I don't want to put the Florida game in there because it's going to happen maybe before a lot of you listen to this. So those are the 2 games. You got to pick them both. You got to get them both right, and then you go into a drawing. They're probably, it'll be an easier drawing to win. Let's just put it that way. So that is our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. Let's get to our Adams Ribco Gator of the Week, and my Gator of the Week was Will Richard. And not only did he play really great in the first half, but when the game got down to where you are wondering if Florida's going to finally lose a game, what does Will Richard do? What their guards do so well? He goes and gets an offensive rebound and puts it back in. And that was the reason they won the game. That play in itself was the reason they won the game. So Will Richard is our Adams Ribco Gator of the Week. Adams Ribco, the best place you can go for ribs or anything else, to be honest with you. It's a great place. Let's get to our Florida Surf Club Upset Alert. We do this with the Florida Surf Club every Thursday, and we appreciate them for being a sponsor as well. My upset alert is Penn State. You better be on alert. You're big favorites, 9-point favorites. It's going to be freezing. SMU's coming up there. SMU's got some players, man. Let me tell you what. I know you do too, and you're going to try to out-physical them, but you are going to let him hang around. I guarantee you. And if you do, watch out because they can do some weird. Rhett Lashley's a really good coach. I've really liked him for a long time. But anyway, that is our our Florida Surf Club upset alert. Let's get to our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the Week. And in this case, our sponge, Gallo Car Wash is the only place to go get your car washed. Our sponge is Alex Condon. So Alex was sponge-worthy. He had 10 rebounds in that game. He was a huge factor, but also 5 assists. In Florida, because Condon and some other players got those rebounds, we just talked about Will Richards, and I'm obsessed with offensive rebounds right now. Florida had a 23-14 second chance advantage on North Carolina. That's really won the game. They won the game on second chance points. And so Alex Condon is our Gallows Car Wash Sponge of the week. Let's get to this, that, and the other. It is brought to you by Ballyhoo. It is brought to you by Ironwood Golf Course, and it's brought to you by Darth Shackle Insurance. I pause there for a minute because Bill Reichert and Jackie Reichert are about to retire. I think we're going to have a little to-do with them soiree with them on Saturday night. They've meant a lot to me, not only just being great, having a great restaurant and great place to go, but getting up at 5 in the morning to go out and cook gator tail for our golf tournament. And then having it out there, and I just can't tell you how much they've meant to me. And I hate to see Ballyhoo's now. The people who are taking over Ballyhoo's are friends of mine too, so they'll do fine, I know. But I hate to see Bill not. I hate to walk in there and not have Bill go Duels. So I'm kind of like the norm there, I guess. Anyway, we want to say salute to Bill and Jackie Reichert. Okay, let's get to this, that, and the other. The rules were so messed up. I remember having conversations with Larry Vitale and Steve Russell on talk shows years and years ago, like 20 years ago. We'd talk about how it was unfair. The coaches had all the power. They were able to keep you from transferring to another school, and they could pick and choose. I don't want you transferring to Georgia. We may play them. I don't want you transferring to Ohio State. We could play them in a bowl. They could stop you from doing that. So that is that the rules were changed, obviously, and we saw the portal open up, and to extreme measures, the Wild Wild West. We've talked about it a million times. The other would be T.J. Finley's story. T.J. Finley, I watched this guy play a lot of football because he played at LSU and Auburn as a quarterback. You know where he is now? He's going to his 5th school. And look, if this works for you, play it out. He's going to his 5th school. You know who it is? Tulane. So I don't think he'll be playing this game, but he's going to Tulane. He's been started at LSU, went to Auburn, then Texas State, Western Kentucky last year, and Tulane this year. I don't know. It just doesn't seem right to me. All right, let's wrap it up with our Swamp Games of the weekend. No, I'm sorry. I forgot my Hugh Cain All-State moment. Let's get to our Hugh Cain All-State moment.
The Gator Nation is in good hands with local Allstate agent Hugh Cain. Stop by Alachua Marketplace Plaza in Alachua and get a free quote today.
Okay, now these guys are playing one-on-one at the Ole Miss meeting room, right? And it's a big deal. And then everybody gets excited to watch this shot go in. Well, it didn't go in, did it? Did that shot go in? No, wait. No. It went 9 yards over the – that's the worst shot ever. And look at the guy in the red hoodie who turns around in the front there. And when he goes up to see it, and then he goes, oh, man. Anyway, that was our Hugh Cain All-State Mayhem moment. Let's get to our Swamp Games of the weekend. There are so many games this weekend, you can't handle it. You can't handle the truth, but I'm going to give you the playoffs. Indiana, Notre Dame is Friday night, 8 o'clock on NBC. Of course, Florida-Tulane is 3:30 on ESPN2, and that'll be also Friday. Saturday, you've got SMU at Penn State,
at noon on TNT. That's why I'm giving you all this so you don't turn to the wrong channel. Clemson at Texas is at 4 on TNT. These are all the football games. And Tennessee at Ohio State at 8 on ESPN. All right, it's going to be a fun day of watching. Don't forget, Saturday, Florida basketball is at noon is against North Florida. The NFL has 2 Saturday games, and they're great. You're going to need 4 TVs for this weekend. Houston at Kansas City is at 1 on NBC, and Pittsburgh at Baltimore at 4:30 on Fox. So that's a lot to digest, and you guys are going to have to digest it all, and then you're going to have to digest some Christmas food and everything. But we have another show before Christmas, so we'll wait till then to tell you how much we appreciate all of you. What we'll do now is get out of here and make like a leaf and get out of here. Yeah. So, hey, appreciate all you guys. Appreciate this is going to be such a great weekend. If all the results go well, it's even going to be more fun. Let's hope it does. We'll be back with another show on Monday, and Coach Spurrier will be here. Until then, I am Pat Dooley for Zach Rothrock. Deep, way back, out of here.